Om Jnana-timirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Panchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet Ashtaprayeshu Abhatreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. So we are reading from Canto 4, Chapter 9, Dhruv Maharaj Returns Home, text 33 through 36. Hare Krishna, Dhirashanta Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Vilamanji Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Guru Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada. How are you, Mataji?
Please accept my humble obeisances all. I'm good, Mataji.
And congratulations, Mataji.
Thank you so much.
How is your sister and baby?
Both are fine, Mataji.
Okay, I'm glad.
Yeah, she has high blood pressure, so they are treating her.
Now, how is came down or still the same? Yeah, I heard that. Govardhan Lila Mataji just told me today, so she has a high blood pressure. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
So how is the pressure now?
So they will check again on Friday and they will see how it is and everything. For now, they have given her medication.
Oh, they put her in medication. Okay. So the baby is fine, right? The baby doesn't have anything.
Yeah, baby is fine.
Okay, that's good. Good to hear, Mataji.
Mm.
And so now you bari ma.
Yes, yes.
Congratulations,
Thank you.
bari ma.
Hey, will you grab a book and read, or would you like someone else to read?
You can read, Mataji.
You can also bring a book if you have time.
Today I don't have little time. I'm gonna listen, Mataji. Okay.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you, Mataji.
You are welcome. So this is text 33. Daivim maya upashritya prasutta iva bhinnadrik tapye dvitiye api asti bhratir bhratravya hridi ruja. Translation. Dhruv Maharaj lamented, I was under the influence of the delusive energy. Being ignorant of the actual facts, I was sleeping on her lap. Under the vision of duality, I saw my brother as my enemy, and falsely I lamented within my heart, thinking, they are my enemies. Real knowledge is revealed to a devotee only when he comes to the right conclusion about life by the grace of the Lord. Dhirashanta Mataji, can you please mute yourself?
Sorry, Mataji. I thought I muted. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. Purport. Real knowledge is revealed to a devotee only when he comes to the right conclusion about life by the grace of the Lord. Our creation of friends and enemies within this material world is something like dreaming at night. In dreams, we create so many things out of various impressions of the subconscious mind. But all such creations are simply temporary and unreal. In the same way, although apparently we are awake in material life, because we have no information of the soul and the super soul, we create many friends and enemies simply out of imagination. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says that within this material world or material consciousness, good and bad are the same. The distinction between good and bad is simply a mental concoction. The actual fact is that all living entities are sons of God and byproducts of his marginal energy. Because of our being contaminated in the modes of material nature, we distinguish one spiritual spark from another. That is also another kind of dreaming. It is stated in the Bhagavad Gita that those who are actually learned do not make any distinctions between a learned scholar, a Brahmana, an elephant, a dog, and a Chandal. They do not see in terms of the external body. Rather, they see this person as spirit soul. By higher understanding, one can know that the material body is nothing but a combination of the five material elements. In that sense, also the bodily construction of a human being and that of a demigod are one and the same. From the spiritual point of view, we are all spiritual sparks, parts and parcels of the Supreme Spirit God. Either materially or spiritually, we are basically one. But we make friends and enemies as dictated by the illusory energy. Dhruv Maharaj therefore said, Daivim Mayam Upashritya. The cause of his bewilderment was his association with the illusory material energy. Text 2034. Mayatat pratitam vyartham chikitseva gatayushu prasadya jagatatmanam tapassa dushparashaddanam भवचिद्धम आये च अहम भावम भाग्या vivarjitah. Translation: It is very difficult to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But in my case, although I have satisfied the super soul of the whole universe, I have prayed only for useless things. My activities are exactly like treatment given to a person who's already dead. Just see how unfortunate I am, for in spite of meeting the Supreme Lord, who can cut one's link with birth and death, I have prayed for the same conditions again. Purport: Sometimes it so happens that a devotee engaged in the loving service of the Lord desires some material benefit in exchange for his service. This is not the proper way to discharge devotional service. Out of ignorance, of course, sometimes a devotee does so. But Dhruv Maharaj regrets his personal behavior in this connection. Text 35. Swarajyam yacchato maudhyan mano me bhikshito bata ishvarat kshina punyena falikaran ivadhana. Translation: Because of my state of complete foolishness and paucity of pious activities, although the Lord offered me his personal service, I wanted material name, fame, and prosperity. My case is just like that of a poor man who, when he satisfied a great emperor who wanted to give him anything he might ask out of ignorance, asked only for a few broken grains of husked rice. Purport: In this verse, the word Swarajyam, which means complete independence, is very significant. A conditioned soul does not know what complete independence is. Complete independence means situation in one's own constitutional position. The real independence of a living entity who is part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is to remain always dependent on the Supreme Lord. just like a child who plays in complete independence guided by his parents who watch over him. The independence of the conditioned soul does not mean to fight with the obstacles offered by Maya, but to surrender to Krishna. In the material world, everyone is trying to become completely independent simply by fighting against the obstacles offered by Maya. This is called a struggle for existence. Real independence is to be reinstated in the service of the Lord. Anyone who goes to the Vaikuntha planets of Goloka Vrindavan planet is freely offering his service to the Lord. That is complete independence. Just contrary to this is material overlordship, which we wrongly take to be independence. Many great political leaders have tried to establish independence, but due to so-called independence of people's dependence has only increased. The living entity cannot be happy trying to be independent in the material world. One has to surrender, therefore, unto the lotus feet of the Lord and engage in his original external service. Eternal service. Dhruv Maharaj regrets that he wanted material opulence and greater prosperity than that of his great grandfather, Lord Brahma. His begging from the Lord was like a poor man asking a great emperor for a few grains of broken rice. The conclusion is that anyone who is engaged in the loving service of the Lord should never ask for material prosperity from the Lord. The awarding of material prosperity simply depends on the stringent rules and regulations of the external energy. Pure devotees ask the Lord only for the privilege of serving Him. That is our real independence. If we want anything else, it is a sign of our misfortune. Text 36. Maitreya न वै मुकुन्दस्य पदारविन्दयो राजोजुषस्तत भवदृशी जनां वञ्चितन् वञ्चिन्ति तद्दस्यं ऋते ऋत्तम् आत्मनो यदृच्छया लब्धमनं समृद्धया. Translation. The great sage Maitreya continued. My dear Vidura, persons like you who are pure devotees of the lotus feet of Mukunda, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who can offer liberation, who are always attached to the honey of his lotus feet, are always satisfied in serving at the lotus feet of the Lord. In any condition of life, such persons remain satisfied, and thus they never ask for the Lord for material prosperity. Purport. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that He is the supreme enjoyer, the supreme proprietor of everything and anything within this creation, and the supreme friend of everyone. When one knows these things perfectly, he is always satisfied. The pure devotee never hankers after any kind of material prosperity. The karmis, jnanis, and yogis, however, endeavor always for their own material happiness. Karmis work day and night to improve their economic condition. Jnanis undergo severe austerities in order to get liberation. And yogis also undergo severe austerities by practicing the yoga system for attainment of wonderful mystic powers. A devotee, however, is not interested in such activities. He does not want mystic powers or liberation or material prosperity. He is satisfied in any condition of life as long as he is constantly engaged in the service of the Lord. The Lord's feet are compared to the lotus, wherein there is saffron dust. A devotee is always engaged in drinking the honey from the lotus feet of the Lord. Unless one is freed from all material desires, he cannot actually taste the honey from the Lord's lotus feet. One has to discharge his devotional duties without being disturbed by coming and going out of material circumstances. This desirelessness for material prosperity is called nishkama. One should not mistakenly think that nishkama means giving up all desires. That is impossible. A living entity is eternally existent and he cannot give up desires. A living entity must have desires. That is the symptom of life. When there is a recommendation to become desireless, it is to be understood that this means that we should not desire anything for our sense gratification. For a devotee, this state of mind, nispriha, is the right position. Actually, every one of us already has an arrangement for our standard of material comforts. A devotee should always remain satisfied with the comforts, standard of comforts offered by the Lord as stated in the Ishopanishad. Tena tyaktena bhunjita. This saves time for executing Krishna consciousness. Wow, Mataji, there are so many points in these four purports, and we are going to gradually discuss them. So, um, yeah, so we will begin from text 33. Just give me 1 second. Okay, so yeah, so we are at that point in this story where Dhruva Maharaj is actually face to face with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he's offering his very, very beautiful prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And part of the prayers is his lamentation, because he is sharing with the Supreme Lord what is in his heart. And what is this that is in his heart? It is his deep lamentation that the Supreme Lord, who is capable of awarding anything to his devotee. What is that anything? Anything means that he is capable of awarding love of Godhead. He is capable of uh, giving so much love, um, like awakening so much love in the heart of his devotee, um, through his sweetness, through his charm, through his beauty, through his opulence. A devotee can completely become attracted to the Lord. And that is the real gift that a human being can experience by the process of bhakti yoga. By the process of receiving the mercy of the Lord, he is able to fully experience all of his feelings and emotions towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Krishna is able to grant such sweetness in their relationship to a devotee. But here Dhruva Maharaj is lamenting. He's lamenting by saying that under the influence of your illusory energy and being ignorant of the actual facts, I was sleeping on her lap. So this is his lamentation, because through his austerities, through his determination, through his faith in the words of Narad Muni, in scripture, in the instructions that he received through scripture by the grace of Narad Muni to recite the mantra, and his determination was so strong that within a very short period of time he was able to achieve the grace of the Lord. But his initial motivation, that was that he wanted to seek revenge um, from um, from what had happened to him. He was very hurt and he wanted to seek revenge. So that's why in his heart he is lamenting now that I was thinking that my brother was my enemy, and I was thinking that they are my enemies. So this is a very significant point, because in our own lives, we can apply this point. We can take it. Sometimes situations happen in our life where we are thinking that some people are my friends, some people are my enemies. But Prabhupada says that such friends and enemies is actually the concoction of the mind. It is just like dreaming. And in dreams, the subconscious mind is able to create some images. They have actually not happened in real life. That is not really our experience in real life. But it is happening only at the level of the mind. And one thinks that actually this may be true, and he goes through those emotions that are attached to those thoughts, those images. And but factually, those images are not real. They are not actually happening to us in real life. So, in that sense, it is only imagination. So, similarly, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami and other acharyas have commented that in this material world, anything good or bad that we are imagining is only an illusion. It will stay for some time and then it will be gone, because it's only products of the illusory energy of the Lord. They're not eternal. No circumstance of this material life, whether it is good or bad, is eternal. It will change eventually. So so to become too attached to something that our mind perceives as good or our mind perceives as bad is not helpful for us in our Krishna consciousness. What is helpful is to be able to look beyond the good and bad and actually take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in this purport, it is being explained that all living entities are sons of God. So anybody whom we perceive as bad, just because they have hurt us or they have said something that is cruel, that is not helping us, is actually like is it is our perception of the mind. Yes, it is true that we have felt hurt, but to focus on it and um, you know label the other person as our enemy and get entangled in that situation more and more is actually not beneficial for a living entity. In Bhagavad Gita, it is said that it doesn't matter who the living entity is. They are parts of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They are also like one of us. They are parts and parcels of God. He is a spirit soul. And this material body is actually a combination of the five material elements. So it doesn't matter, like, what anybody has done to us. If our focus only goes to that portion that, okay, I'm hurt by this person, therefore he's my enemy, and we get caught up in that um, spiral of thinking, then it really doesn't help a devotee to progress beyond that in spiritual life. So, the best part is that we can receive help, guidance to move beyond that hurt so that we can again start making progress in spiritual life. Of course, spiritual life is never um, limited by any material circumstance, although we may be hurt. In those circumstances, if we can bring our mind and heart to taking shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then we are moving on the spiritual path. It cannot be obstructed by any of these material thoughts and thinking and circumstances. But if with our own strength we are unable to move beyond that hurt, then we can receive guidance and we can associate with the Lord, like learn to associate again with the Lord in a healthy way, so that we can again start making spiritual progress. So that assistance is also welcome from other devotees, from any other way in which the help comes. So in Dhruv Maharaj's case, his lamentation is very strong. He is saying that, my dear Lord, I was such a fool. I thought that my family was my enemies. But out of that bewilderment of the illusory energy, I could not ask for the real thing, the real substance. And in any circumstance of life, like, we can actually pray to the Lord that, my dear Lord, I'm so stuck. I'm in this very awkward position, but you are the only one who can help me, who can bring my mind and heart to you, who can remove me from this illusory energy of yours. So, text 34, translation, it says,
Hare Krishna, Leela Manjari Mataji. I'm sorry. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Guru Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Guru Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada. Thank you for joining. It's
Yes,
nice to see
Mataji,
you.
was there class yesterday? Because I did the class Monday and Tuesday.
Okay, so there was no class yesterday, but I did not know if there was a class on Tuesday, so I'm just continuing with whatever was.
No, I did it. I said I did the class on Tuesday. So there were 4 verses on Tuesday.
So, what should we do? Because myself and Dhirashanta Mataji, we already started with these verses. We read the translations and purports. So, what would you recommend?
Well, I guess then, I don't know. Tomorrow, are you going to give class?
Yes.
Okay, well then when you give class, we'll just, whatever you start with is where we'll end, and then I'll continue the schedule from that. But it is my fault. I should have written you a text and let you know that yes, there was class. Linda Mataji was on there, Rohini Mataji, and I.
Oh, okay, that's wonderful, Mataji. Yeah, I'm happy to know that the class happened, but uh, but because like, I have not been able to join all
Mm-hmm.
the time, because sometimes I'm at Marissa's house, and then, like, I'm like in between things, and so I'm not able to join so regularly. So um so maybe for today, like, we'll just continue sharing this 33 to 36.
Yeah, because those were the ones I did. I did 33 through 36 on Tuesday. That's okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because we already started. So maybe for today we'll continue with that, and tomorrow I will go back to what was on Wednesday.
Oh, yeah, for what was for Wednesday, right? You
Yeah.
mean, okay.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, next time, I should have given you a text, but maybe check with me before you start, because sometimes I'm doing the class and I'm not, it was my fault though. I should
No,
have
it's
texted.
okay, Mataji. Like, I think this is something new for us, because previously we used to be able to do the class every day. Someone or other was always there. So this system is new for us, like, where we are sometimes missing a class here and there. So maybe,
Okay.
yeah, I think what would be helpful is to use our WhatsApp group to text each other, so everybody knows where everyone is.
Yeah, I should have done that. You could have
I
started at 37 today.
Yeah, actually, I dialed in yesterday, but nobody was there, so I waited for 10 minutes and then I disconnected yesterday.
Ah, okay. I understand. Okay, I'm sorry. Don't let me, stop the class. Go
Okay,
right ahead,
okay,
Mataji.
we'll move on. Yeah, but thank you so much, Govardhan Leela Mataji, for being so thoughtful.
Oh, no, thank you for
Mhm.
being there.
So yeah, so we have a system for next time. Whenever we do class, we'll just type it in our WhatsApp group. Okay, so this is text 34, which we are reading, and this is continuation of like, his lamentation, and he is sharing that he has been praying for useless things, and I really hope that, someday I come to this realization in my life that whatever I'm aspiring for materially is, or are all useless things. And he gives this example that, all his activities are like treatment given to a person who's already dead. So my uncle was a doctor, and he actually gave this example. Like, once a man was brought in to the hospital, so there were a bunch of new, they're called house surgeons in India, like, where medical students, they're just receiving their training. And my uncle was also one of them. He had just completed medical school, and he was practicing. So, all the people, like all the students, they gathered around this man, and they were trying to analyze, what was going on with him. And the professor, he was actually watching the students from a distance. This new case has come into the hospital. So while he was watching the students from a distance, after 15 minutes, he came and asked one of the students, "Oh, so what is your diagnosis of this man?" So they started explaining something, and he waited, he listened to everybody, what they had to speak. And then finally, my uncle said, "He is dead. This man is dead, so we cannot cure him." So the professor already knew that this person is dead. They cannot help him, but he was trying to assess, like, what the students are going to conclude about this man. So similarly, in our attempts to pray for so many material things, for so many material comforts within this material world, and being in that illusory energy, it's like treating a dead man. There is no hope for such a thing. And Dhruv Maharaj is lamenting that, instead of asking for all those dead, like, desires which cannot help me, I had met the Lord face to face, and he was capable of cutting my link to the process of birth and death in this material world. But it's so unfortunate I went and asked for those same things, because anytime we get ourselves entangled in material activities, we have to continue the process of birth and death. So if even though Dhruv Maharaj has been awarded a wonderful kingdom which he can rule over for 36,000 years, still it is useless, because if if a person rules over a kingdom for 36,000 years and is materially entangled after that, then again he has to be reborn based on his desires, and again he has to face the consequences of birth, death, old age, and disease. So that is his lamentation. I could have simply asked the Lord to take him with me. But in exchange for all of this, I asked him again for something material. So in text 35, it says, "Because of my complete state of foolishness and paucity of material activities." So all these purports are expressing the same theme. The theme is that Dhruv Maharaj, in so many ways, he feels sorry for his state, that he wanted something material from the Lord. And and again he's giving another example, that first he gave the example of a person who has come in for treatment, who's already dead, and treatment is being administered to a dead person. And now he's giving the example of a poor man who has gone to the emperor, and he is asking for husked rice. Usually when rice is husked, then like, the good quality rice already has come out. But then for poor people, sometimes whatever rice is broken is saved separately. So broken grains of husk rice means it is those broken grains of rice which poor people eat. So if one goes to the emperor, he has the opportunity to ask for something that is very meaningful, that can bring him lots of prosperity. So he can ask anything from the emperor, because the emperor is capable of granting any request. But unfortunately, Dhruv Maharaj, he's lamenting that, instead of asking for something that's useful, if a poor man goes and just asks for husk rice, then what's the point of approaching the emperor? So similarly, in this um, material world, we can aspire for the greatest of things, but they will never um, make a person completely independent. They Here Prabhupada writes, this word Swarajyam is very significant, complete independence. And our conditioned soul is always seeking that feeling of complete independence. Actually, I see this quality a lot in myself. Like, I love independence, being able to do what I want to do. And but complete independence actually can be received only when one is in one's constitutional position as a servant of the Lord. Prabhupada writes, the real independence of a living entity who is part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is to always remain dependent on the Supreme Lord, just like a child who plays in complete independence, guided by his parents who watch over him. So, a child actually feels safe if his parents are watching him. And that's very important actually for a child as he's growing up. If a child is abandoned by a parent, although he may be playing, he will never feel secure. So boundaries are actually healthy for children while they are playing. If a parent is guiding them, and he'll feel very happy being under the shelter of his parents. Similarly, a conditioned soul will only remain happy if he feels the shelter of the Supreme Lord. Otherwise, he may feel as if he is happy, but in that condition of independence, he is only trying to fight the obstacles offered by Maya. So if a person is constantly trying to stay alive, constantly struggling for existence, then it cannot be called as complete independence. But that is the way of life that Maya has to offer. So, what is the best position for a person to experience complete independence is to surrender to Krishna. So, um, only when a conditioned soul, like wholeheartedly, feels that, my dear Lord, I have put my life in your hands, and you can take me wherever you wish to take me. You can put me in any circumstance that you wish to. And in such a state of mind, only one can experience fearlessness and real um, independence from Maya, because the Lord is able to grant such independence. In any other form, because there are so many plans that people make in this material world. They have so many political agendas, they have so many social, economic agendas, to get a sense of relief from this feeling of helplessness to fight material nature. They will never feel satisfied because Maya is so strong. The more they fight, Maya will keep putting more obstacles in the path of such a person. So Prabhupada writes, it doesn't matter what kind of agenda people have, if they do not learn how to surrender to the Supreme Lord, to the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, and accept His plan in their life, for them in their life, they will always keep struggling for existence. And all their big plans will actually make the person feel even more unhappy, and they will feel even more um, what to say, it will create even more obstacles for such a person. That dependency will only get feel increase. So, in order to understand this point, Prabhupada used to make this point that, look at India. When Gandhi wanted independence for India, He had such a big dream, and finally they got independence. But the people are struggling more after they became independent. So, this is one of the examples that Prabhupada used to give, that, you know, our struggle for um, independence or freedom, or to get out of the shackles of material nature, to overcome the shackles of material nature, will always fall short, because material energy is so powerful, and living entities, we are so tiny. So the urge of Srimad Bhagavatam, the urge of Srila Prabhupada's purports, is that one must always try to engage in loving service of the Lord. That will actually make a person free from the stringent laws of external energy. So, this may seem too high for a struggling person in this material world, but the process is gradual. The more we are able to accept this in our life and bring it into our life in small, tiny pieces, which we can digest, the more we practice it, then we will be able to accept bigger changes and things in life. And we will be able to accept those things as the Lord's mercy, which is coming into our life. And we won't feel this pressure or struggle for existence when we place ourselves in the hands of the Lord. Yeah, this is the power of devotional service. A devotee always feels secure, and he feels fearless in um, and he feels safe in the hands of the Lord. So this is the real message of Srimad Bhagavatam: to not seek material prosperity, but to seek the real shelter of the Lord, because that is the experience of the highest form of uh, independence for a living entity. And in text 36, it writes, the sage Maitreya continued. So far, actually, this was Dhruva Maharaj is speaking. After the Lord departed from his vision, he was lamenting his condition. And now Maitreya is speaking to Vidura. My dear Vidura, persons like you who are pure devotees of the lotus feet of Mukunda, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who can offer liberation and who are always attached to the honey of his lotus feet, are always satisfied in serving at the lotus feet of the Lord. In any condition of life, such persons remain satisfied and they will never ask the Lord for material prosperity. So, this is another very, very, very important teaching in our Vaishnava line in Srimad Bhagavatam, that a devotee never asks for any material prosperity from the Lord. And this is a very, very, very high aspiration, like, because in material existence, there is such a tendency to ask for material enjoyment. The karmis, jnanis, yogis, they're always seeking some form of material happiness. But only a devotee actually he relishes and he experiences the joy of able to serve the Supreme Lord. Only a devotee can relish it. And when he relishes the joy of serving the Supreme Lord, he doesn't want anything else. So, this high platform of never asking for material prosperity comes from the joy of performing devotional service. By being constantly engaged in the service of the Lord, he relishes and experiences such sweetness in his emotions that he does not want anything else. He only asks the Lord for his service again and again and again. So, it is said actually that the Lord's lotus feet are compared to a lotus. and there is saffron dust on his lotus feet. So, similarly, there is pollen on a lotus flower, and sometimes these bees, they go and sit to suck the honey from the whorl of the lotus. So, similarly, a devotee is always looking to drink the honey from the lotus feet of the Lord. And when he drinks the honey from the lotus feet of the Lord by rendering devotional service, he doesn't want any other taste. Everything of this material world, which karmis, jnanis, and yogis, they get, the kind of happiness that comes from enjoyment in this material world is very pale after one has tasted the nectar of the Lord's lotus feet, after one has tasted the sweetness of the Lord's devotional service. And we may not know or relish it at our point of devotional life, but the more we bring our heart to serving the Supreme Lord, the more we invest in trying to please the Lord, the more this taste becomes manifest within our heart. And then we do not want anything else of this material world. Everything else pales in front of that. So, this is the invitation that Srila Prabhupada is giving us, that we have to come to the platform of nishkama, desirelessness for material prosperity. But that is not possible unless we have tasted the sweetness of our relationship with the Lord, unless we have tasted that sweetness of devotional service to the Supreme Lord. So it is possible in human form of life. Actually, it is possible for any one of us to experience that sweetness of rendering devotional service to the Lord. And we are very, very fortunate that we have this purports of Srila Prabhupada, which are inviting us into that space where we can set aside our, at least temporarily, we can set aside our material desires, our material hankerings, all our material needs, and bring ourselves to the point of serving the Supreme Lord. And when we feel the taste of serving the Supreme Lord, then nobody can actually go back to those old material tastes. So I'll end here, and we only have a few minutes for discussion, but I think it will be nice if we can discuss a little bit.
Thank you, Leela Manjari Mataji, for very beautiful explanation. And it's very, very beautiful, lesson for us from Dhruva Maharaj. And I can speak for myself. So I had and still I have so many desires. Like my desire is always to be a perfect, everything in everywhere, has to be perfect. And all the time, whatever, we do, that has to be successful. My desire. And so which that didn't happen. And so because of that, so, I'm always lamenting and always, in distress, anxiety, stress. And so when I'm listening this class, I was like, I don't know. So when I'm gonna have these, higher test. So, and since, you explain, because of our desire. So we are going through all this. And if we don't have any material enjoyment desire, so we will be like, in really high position in devotion. So these, like, these all the, like, suffering one touch us. So we are always in bliss. But for myself, I don't know when that's gonna happen. So please pray for me, for my bhakti. So that's all, Mataji. Thank you so much. It's a really beautiful class. This is, this class is like a fairy tale for me. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Divya Shanta Mataji.
Thank you very much for your comments, Dita Shanta, and thank you, Leela Manjari Mataji, for a very, very nice class. I used to have more desires than I do now, because I think Krishna is taking away one of my biggest desires that I always had was to have a sense of family, because of the way my family got broken up so young. And then when I had my grandparents around, I felt it again. There were different moments when I felt it again, but again, none of that was permanent. And Krishna, it's like he's taking everybody away. He took so many family members away now that I don't have, how can I say, I don't desire, well, that is the last desire I had that was really big. And I have it with my husband, but that's it. The rest of the family, I feel they're, I've kind of moved on from them. I never really had them to begin with. The ones who are left over, I try, to keep a sense of family, but that was one of my biggest attachments. My husband and I didn't have children, so, it's just him and me. And I think now Krishna is telling me, what, we are your family in this movement. This is your family. So this is the only quote unquote family that I have left. That's how I feel. And I've been grieving over it for a long time. I still think I grieve over it, but I have to accept what Krishna wants for me. You were talking about that in one of the purports. And to come to acceptance of what the Lord wants for us, I don't think is always an easy thing, but it is possible. I have come to acceptance of many things that have been very, very painful, that I thought I wanted or needed. And Krishna was saying, no, this is not what you need, and that's not what you need, and no, this is not what you need. And there are no accidents. When we have particular relationships, the way things, how can I say, the way the carpet rolls out, in other words, the way life happens to us as we're going along, there's no mistake about it. And there are certain things we have to learn from that. And I had told Guru Maharaj, I lament so much I didn't have children. And he said, he told me, so that's why you got the dog. He told me that. He said the dog is kind of like you're very motherly type. And so that took the place. He said a lot of people do that when they don't have children. He said, but you've probably had so many in previous lives, so many children. You're kind of done with that now. And I'm thinking, oh, I wish I could only have seen all the children that I've had in the past, because I just can't picture it. But it is, he told me it's like that. And so the Lord gives us what we need. And so maybe I don't need that anymore. But I still cry about it. But I I'm accepting it. There's no way to get around it. It is this. If this is the way the karma, if this is the way our karma is dealt to us, why are we fighting it? It doesn't make any sense to fight it. It's going to happen whether we like it or not. And so I've come to that point. It's like, well, I have to accept that this is what it is. I have felt very alone in the sense of not having the family I always wanted. And so I may always feel that way, for the rest of the years that that Krishna gives me. And, but I have to accept that and to embrace, this new, kind of family. And it's not material, it's spiritual. So this is a very good thing, because I don't know that I trust every devotee, because I don't, I'll be honest with you, but I trust the process of Krishna consciousness. And I trust that it works. It makes perfect sense. And I've seen it work in my life. And Krishna has come to my assistance through Srila Prabhupada and through my guru many times now. And so I know he's there, and he is going to be there with me. But I still have fear of being totally abandoned. I don't know. It's from being small, that like this feeling like I'm going to die in a room. And I used to say this years ago, die in a room all by myself with nobody around me. And it is going to be what it's going to be, because we all have to die alone anyway. So I'm trying to accept all these different things that are possibly in the future. I don't know. But it is a question of acceptance, surrendering to the Lord and accepting what he wants for us. And I used to also be a very perfectionistic. Sometimes I have to not be there, because it's a very dangerous place for me, because I start to become overwhelmed, too anxious, and then I can't do anything. It's like I freeze when I become like that. So I have to understand that things are going to happen the way they're supposed to happen. And all I can do is hopefully align my heart with the Lord's, and do what he wants me to do, because this place is I don't understand this earth. I'll be honest with you. I just don't understand it. And I understand it now from Krishna consciousness perspective, but it's very, very hard. Very, very hard, this place. And there is happiness, but it comes through surrender to the Lord. That's the only happiness that exists here. And I do see that at this point in my life. I do definitely see that. So thank you. I know I spoke too long. I'm sorry.
No, Govardhan Leela Mataji, you didn't speak very long. I think whatever you said, adds so much meaning for me to understand the purport that we had read, and also how to apply it in my own life. Because there are certain circumstances in my life which are beginning to change. And
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my husband is not ready for me to share those circumstances as of now. So,
Mm-hmm.
but I was thinking everything felt so good. I had come to this point where I had finally begun to think that life is settling, and that I'm now ready to um, feel more comfortable where I am, and all of a sudden, whatever is might happen, might throw everything off. So I resonated so much with what you said. Like, Things are definitely not going to be easy, but the only way to find happiness is by praying to the Lord again and again to be able to accept His arrangements. Yeah.
Well, that's all we can do.
Mm.
You can't fight with. My husband always says that. He always says to me, "Don't fight. You can't fight with God. Don't fight with Him.
Mm.
Do it His way." Now he's right about that, because we always say, "Oh no, we've got to do it like this, and it's got to be like this, and it's got." No, it doesn't. It has to be the way He wants it, and that's what I have to keep understanding and remembering at all times. You know,
Mm.
there so many things have happened right from the beginning that I didn't want in my life, and they were like that
Mm.
right from the get go. I mean, I've had a good life. I've done good things. You know, I haven't had a horrible life, but it was very, very difficult. I was battling uphill all my life.
Mm.
It was a struggle, very big struggle. And I think maybe that's what Krishna wanted from me, was for me to learn these lessons.
Mm.
Big struggle, big struggle. And then finally, I just said, okay, I accept whatever you want. This is the way it is. And of course, I've cried about it. It doesn't mean I don't have feelings about it,
Mhm.
but I can't change it.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that's it, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you both for being here, and I hope this our discussion is going to inspire us to more love and consciousness to please the Lord more and more.
Definitely. Definitely. Okay, I must go now. So
Okay, Mataji,
thank you very much.
here also. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
Bye.